Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of them. Yeah,
Who's the family used to own Granny's Closet?
Zanzuki.
Yeah, Zenzuki.
They're still up there.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, look at that
They're
cat.
old flag people, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's like a
You went to the
commercial.
Babbitt, the rear, and Zanzuki.
Yeah. Then you're a weird road.
Am I on? Okay. I'm starting. Well, welcome everybody to the February edition of the ADOT ACEC liaison meeting. I'm Steve Jimenez with Stanley Consultants. I hope everybody had a nice Christmas, holiday break, and New Year's. Is anybody here avid bicycle rider or ride a bike once in a while at all?
Miracle.
All right. I can see that. I'm looking in the screen. Well, it took me a while to realize that active transportation meant bicycles and pedestrians. And I was thinking it's February and Valentine's Day is coming up in a couple weeks. And I was thinking about bikes and pedestrians. Do you know what the cyclist said to his Valentine?
No.
I really love you. Thank you for the courtesy laugh. Stop. I'm getting double sound here.
I just remembered what I missed about this news, and that's Steve's jokes.
Thank you, Amerigo. Okay, I turned my sound off. All right, we typically take some time to introduce ourselves. So we have quite a group here that's attended in person, but before we individually say our names and who we're with, how about everybody that's attending virtually, turn your camera on just for about 20 seconds and wave. You don't have to say anything. Okay, Raj, Kareem, Julia, Paul. Oh, Paul. Nicole, I saw her face in her car a little while ago, so probably driving. So let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. We'll start at the table over here.
Lee Rosenberg with HDR.
Jason Bernard with Burgess and Apple.
Troy Signets, Jacobs.
Paul Wong with Point Engineers.
Audra Merrick with ADOT.
Carla Petty with Federal Highway Administration.
Carl Oberg, Ardura.
Bruce K, Nino and more.
Ken Rush, Neo and more.
Right over here.
Kevin Woodenberg, Western Technologies.
Greg Froelich, EPS Group.
Brent Konzacek, Sun.
Ramon Padilla, Terracon.
Scott Sales, WSP.
Anthony Sarhan, Federal Highway Administration.
Steve Ocean, ADOT.
The mic for those online, not necessarily for those in the room.
Tom Dietering, Federal Highway Administration.
Amy Forsyth, Southwest Traffic Engineering.
Morning, Joy Melito with WSP. Alexa Mitchell with HDR.
Langton Blaker with ADOT. Ignacio Nacho de la Era with ACEC.
Mark Chase with Aztec.
Jeremy Newman with HDR.
Amerigo Burdetsky, ACEC Arizona.
All right, thanks. Again, good group. FHWA announcements will be given by Anthony.
All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Can everybody in here hear me? Okay, great. So a few things go over. So first of all, in case anybody hasn't heard, FHWA Administrator Shaylin Bott is on board. So we have a new administrator finally. I believe Stephanie Pollock is still on as the Deputy Administrator for a little while. I'm not sure what the ultimate plans are along that, but so we do have final leadership up at top within the agency. A lot's happened in the last couple of months since the last time we were here. Watching the money side of things, the omnibus bill passed. And we're fully funded for the rest of the year. I believe that funding's coming out. One of the things that we saw with the omnibus bill, though, is again, we're starting to see the return of earmarks. There was earmarks last year. There are earmarks that were included in the omnibus this year as well. Arizona is the recipient of earmark projects. Those projects are going to eventually get their funding come out. Those will all be run through the state DOT. So even though all of the recipients are local agencies, it's ultimately going to run through ADOT. So those are a couple of things, big things on the funding side of stuff. More recent news, yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, USDOT made the announcement of the mega grant recipients. I know Arizona had put in a mega grant application for the I-10 project. They were not included on that list, so assume that means it's okay. They were not successful. So I don't know what the plan is on I-10 going forward, but the mega grant announcement is out. This morning, the announcements for the Safe Streets for All grant applications were announced as well. There is a press release on the USDOT website. It's $800 million for more than 500 projects spread across the country. There are 8 Safe Streets for All grant recipients here in Arizona, 7 local agencies and 1 MPO. One of the interesting things about Safe Streets for All is the only entity that's not eligible for it is the DOT. So these are going to be direct recipients. The agencies are going to be working directly with USDOT and FHWA. ADOT is not going to be involved in those unless they're somehow brought in. And other funding that's coming up, we are expecting some new notices of funding opportunity in the next couple of months for the federal administration in particular. First is the charging and fueling infrastructure grants. We don't have a date on that. It's just published. They're expecting it sometime winter 2023. And then the Protect Discretionary Program, which received funding in the omnibus bill. A NOFO is anticipated to come out winter, spring 2023. There is a bunch of other grant opportunities that are listed on USDOT's website if you're looking for the types of funding opportunity that are coming out. And then finally, yesterday, FHWA published on their website, has not hit the Federal Register yet. There is a request for information about improving road safety for all users on federal aid projects. This is going into a lot of areas, including design standards on the NHS, just whole bunch of things that can be taken into account to improve safety. I believe there's a total list of about 26 questions that are included in the RFI. So stay tuned for that. It's out there, but the Federal Register notice will be coming out later. And then Carla, I don't know if there had anything else you wanted to add.
I think you covered everything other than Happy New Year.
Yeah, and yes, and Happy New Year.
2023. So thank you, Anthony.
Yes. Thanks, Anthony. Would you hand the mic to Steve Boshin and ADOT update?
So our big news is at 12:01 on Sunday, Director H retired, and we have a new director, and that's Jennifer Toth, and she will join us either March or April. I talked to her this morning. So I'll twist her arm and bring her here. News from ADOT, like Anthony said, we've kind of known that we did not receive the mega grant a while back. There are many false narratives out there about why we didn't get it. Please don't believe those. It's not because we didn't have a bike lane out there. Kind of insane for someone to think that, but that's being perpetuated. It is the legislative season, so be entertained. 1122 is extremely entertaining, and there's lots of bills. There's an amendment dropped on the mega grant corridor last night. Please read that amendment. It is very entertaining, and I have no opinion on it, obviously. So just know that this is the silly season. What has kept ADOT up at night the last 2 weeks? So I get calls all the time about potholes. So that is what we are working on right now. Why do I have so many potholes? Why does ADOT have so many potholes? Somebody answer. Thank you, Mark. And it's not lack of maintenance. It is lack of money to do significant pavement rehabilitation. We do maintain our roads. We do, fog and seal them. But when the roads are 25 years old, it don't last. So if we can't touch the pavement meaningfully or our bridges, in Mark's case, he wants to maintain bridge or rehab bridges. We can't do that. There has been no bills dropped for statewide infrastructure. And this organization could do something about that, Amerigo and Steve. Those are all my ADOT updates. Thanks, Steve.
Do we have a new state bridge engineer?
Totally forgot about that because it's old
It is
news. So
old.
Dave Eberhart retired and David Benton is now our state bridge engineer. Thank you, Steve.
Sure. Thanks.
Very, very good promotion for David.
He's a good guy. Would you hand the microphone to Scott Sales? He's announcements from the State Board of Technical Registration. Scott?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to stay away from this poll here. It's not gonna be nearly as exciting what these two folks just talked about here, but there was a board meeting last week. In addition to some of the, some of the other things discussed there. There was one on there about modifying some of the language to make it easier or propose to make it easier for the folks down in college to get their EIT application pushed through without having to go through the board first. So that's exciting. So that's, will take some time and it's still in the infancy, but it was discussed at the meeting. And so anybody wants to hear more about it, everything's recorded now and has been. So you can go on there and listen to the whole discussion. It's near the end if you want to jump ahead. Otherwise, you can listen to all the other items on there. So, but if there's anything anybody in here ever want to talk about or ask the board, there's a time in the beginning of each meeting to ask that there. You can either do it virtually or in person. So I don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions. Back to you, Steve. We just, we got the last position was filled. So we are now a completely full, every slot that's there is now filled. So that's exciting. But yeah, everything's moving forward. Thanks, Steve. Oh.
Thank you, Scott. Our guest speaker today is Audra Merrick. She is the ADOT Deputy State Engineer over Design. She was born and grew up in Easton, Pennsylvania, graduated from Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, with a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering. She is a registered civil engineer in Arizona and California, worked at Caltrans for a time. While at Caltrans, Audra was selected to initiate their first satellite earthquake design. She began her career with ADOT in 1998 and did highway construction and design. In 2002, she joined the private sector and worked as a consultant for ADOT. She returned to ADOT in 2007 to manage the North Central District Development and Permits offices. She became the North Central District Engineer in January of 2013. She gained vast experience in leading incident management responses, beginning with the US 89 landslide, which was in 2013. Then the US 89 washout by Hurricane Rosa in 2018, followed by various floods, fires, rockfalls, sinkholes, and winter weather events, as is typical up there. She was district engineer for 9 years before being appointed to her current position as deputy state engineer just a year ago in February. So let's welcome Audra.
Thanks, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yes, okay. So I think you got the long version. There was a short version too. Yeah. So I am the ADOT Deputy State Engineer over Design for ADOT. I've been in this position for almost a year now. So thanks for having me here today. And this is going to be the most exciting news of your day. Maybe the year. We'll see what happens. So the purpose really today is to bring your awareness to ADOT's digital delivery initiative and invite and request participation of ACEC in this process. Is anyone aware of this in the room? I know a few are. Yeah, okay, cool. And so you'll be hearing more from us over the next few years, and you'll see that in the slide presentation as well regarding this. This is really just an intro today. And so with that, I do want to introduce a few people in the room. We do have 2 ADOT digital delivery leads. One is Raisa, is Raisa online? He may or may not be. Okay. And the other one is Mike. Mike, if you want to go ahead and raise your hand. Mike Dumblecker is our group manager of roadway, and see if he's one of our leads for this effort. And we also have HDR on board. And so we have Alexa in the back and Lee over here as well, who are assisting us with this effort. So first, what is ADOT's digital delivery initiative? Really what we're doing is we're looking at replacing that traditional construction plan format that we do in delivering our projects and replacing it with a design and bid process using a model and delivering our projects via digital documents. So essentially get rid of our paper and use our model as our delivery document at the end of the day. And we're looking at delivering our projects with the new method by the end of 2025. So why are we doing this? And really it's to modernize this process, to create those efficiencies and quality projects for the state of Arizona and for our residents. Digital delivery, we expect it to improve our design quality and improve our design and construction efficiencies. Enhance our asset management capabilities, and reduce overall risks to the projects, whether that's in design or in construction. So I realize this is a heavy lift. That's why I'm here today, to engage all of you, because we're going to need your help on this. We are implementing this in a phased approach, so it's not all going to happen today type topic. So it will be phased. Obviously, we need to bring industry along with us on this effort. We are just starting this process, so we are in our infancy. We just brought HDR on in December of 2022 to start helping us create some documents that we'll need to get going. And the design consultants, which are all of you pretty much in the room and those online, you all are important to us, obviously, in this process. We deliver a 5-year plan together. We can't deliver that 5-year plan without you. And we thank you for those efforts for sure. We do value our relationships with industry, whether it's ACEC or AGC, and we look forward to working with you together on this as we move forward into the future. So this is our current phased approach of digital delivery. And you can see the communication band, which is pretty wide and apparent, that goes across all the years from 2022 to 2026. The reason being is because the communication of this is important to us, right? Within the agency, we have to communicate up and down and back and forth. And then industry needs to do that as well. They need to communicate up and down and back and forth between. And then the agency and industry obviously need to have that same communication pattern as well to be successful. So we did kick this off in December, like I said, of last year. HDR is our consultant, and HDR is going to help us develop our guidance document and our implementation plan to move digital delivery forward. And those documents we expect to have by the end of the fiscal year, meaning the current fiscal year, so June of 2023 is what we're looking at. You can see on the bottom of the slide here, some of the topics as we go across. We're looking at, we'll need to develop modeling and those delivering standards in order to achieve this. There's obviously going to be education and training. We're looking at doing pilots, learning from those pilots and continue the implementation through that. On the top, across the years, you'll see us start probably with roadway modeling. I mean, there's some 3D to that, right? But not a whole lot. Not relative to bridge, which would be the next pickup. So we're looking at starting with roadway modeling, picking up bridge, picking up some drainage features and any other miscellaneous asset features we might need as we implement and go forward. So here is the project delivery leadership team. This is kind of how it looks today. I myself I'm the executive sponsor for this group. And we have 2 digital delivery leads for ADOT. One is Mike up there on the back of the room here, and the other one is Reza. And then we have some assistants right now with our HDR consultant team. So we have Alexis, Lee, Kevin, and Michael. And then to help us, we have 3 planning committees that we're going to set up to do this. And here are the responsibilities of the planning committee. So we have a governance committee, a steering committee, and then obviously a technical committee, right? Who's going to help us with all the IT stuff and standards. So the governance committee is responsible for setting up that strategic direction of the overall effort and how we're going to move forward. That steering committee is executing that direction. And then we have our tech group who are looking at those items related to the technology implementation. So what you're looking at is from the governance committee, we're going to have a lot of our group managers are a part of that, DEs and some other individuals. The steering committee is more like kind of an assistant group manager, assistant DE type role, some of those technical people, and then some others. And then the technical committee is more kind of the boots on the ground, grabbing some of the REs, some of the project supervisors from construction, grabbing some of those designers and those CAD type individuals over there on the left, obviously along with IT, right? So what my request is to hear and my invitation is for ACEC is we're looking for an ACEC champion to be on the steering committee for the digital delivery effort as we move forward. And the way this is probably going to work today is really just an intro to you all so you know what this is. And if anyone is interested, get with ACEC and then we'll look for that name from ACEC as we move forward. I'm not going to take a bunch of names today since I know everyone is standing up, jumping for joy, ready to be on a steering committee, right? So the steering committee, just so you all are aware, the expectation there is that committee is probably going to be meeting monthly, at least how we're setting it up right now initially as far as the time commitment goes. So with that, that's all I really have today. It's really just an FYI. This is an initiative we're working on. And like I said, you guys are all important to us in this and need your help to move this thing forward, obviously. So with that, I'd be more than happy to take any questions. And I've got Mike, Alexa, and Lee to assist in those questions if you all have any.
Thanks,
Yes.
Audra.
Sure.
Hey, Audra.
Mhm.
So I love this. This is fantastic. I think it's about time we do that. In my opinion, some of us engineers are falling behind the technology of the contractors. And typically the contractors will request, our models and stuff as well. My question to you is, now that you're moving forward with this process, are you guys going to stick with ORD or are you guys going to allow Civil 3D as well? Because what we're learning right now in our industry is that Civil 3D is bypassing ORD in a very fast rate. So just kind of curious if you can allow both of those systems for future roadway modeling and bridge modeling stuff.
And right now we're really just starting out with this process and getting any information and feedback and concerns on those types of things with industry and not just ACE, but obviously AGC are things that we're going to be talking about in some of these committees and moving forward for sure. Motion.
We do want to have open source if it is compatible and without too many conversions, but our goal is to be an open shop in the end, because you can slice it a bunch of different ways and still end up with the same thing. The one area that isn't covered in here that you guys would be concerned about is mold. Anybody know what mold is? And I'm not looking at you guys. Right,
Mhm.
so that would be a concern from ACEC. Conscious of that, this will be worked out as we go through this. So great question, Carl.
Yeah, like I said, we're at the very beginning of this process. We're really at the infancy. We just kicked it off a month ago, so.
Any other questions? From out in virtual or here?
I think
Oh.
there's one in the back.
Just wanted to say, along with ACEC, we are looking for participation from AGC for that same reason, for that continuity from both design all the way through construction. So that communication and that reach out to them will be happening as well.
I guess that there is an asset management or facility management group in ADOT, no? How are they heavily involved in all this or no?
I didn't hear the beginning of what you asked.
Asset management group in ADOT, are they heavily involved in this initiative or no?
We're just kicking this off. So we've just been under contract with HDR for the month, but those discussions obviously will take place. Yeah.
Scott.
All right, yeah, so you're gonna reach out to the industry. Is there gonna be a number of surveys or something going to all the, through ACEC or others to get feedback from all the firms around the state to kind of get some information like Carl was saying on what programs people are using and what the thoughts on those different ones are?
Alexa or Mike, do you want to help with the communication part of it? Because I know you were all looking at a communication plan.
Yeah, so absolutely, that's one of the activities in the guidance documents is to reach out to industry via surveys or via conversations, whichever is easiest. I know that a lot of people get a lot of surveys, right? And so we want to make sure that if we do send a survey, that it goes to the right people to answer the questions. Otherwise, the information that we're getting back is not meaningful, right? So if there is another way to collect that information, we are open to it. But yes, that is part of the conversation in the early, what we call the data collection exercise, right? So we're going to be working internally with the ADOT business groups to ask them questions, concerns, and so on. And then we'll have the same exercise with industry. So besides the survey, we'll have a workshop for industry to participate and have that voice. So.
Talked about AGC, but I think one of the asks I have from you folks here is we have good representation from several firms here, but we don't have representation from all firms. And there are a number of sub-consultants that are not here that you guys work with. The vision is model as a legal document, the model as the deliverable, but that includes all the trades as well. Not just the roads, not just the bridges. So we would be looking for you guys to help with that communication effort too, especially to the industry that's not here at these tables too, that you do work with.
I would say that's all the contractors and how they need to be involved in all this, no? Because at the end, they're going to take over what we produce, no? And the best as-built or record documentation that we can have is coming from them and from the supplier, no? I have another question. Are you thinking in partnering with any supplier, mainly Autodesk, something like that, or to help you to develop this? Or
Well, I think like Steve said, we are, a Bentley product agency. So obviously we have their ear, they have ours, depending on which way you want to talk, who's calling. But we recognize that there's a number of different software products out there, like, the AutoCADs, but we have the Trimble units, we have everything else, again, that gets to the deliverable side. So we will be needing to work with the folks who are receiving our products too, to make sure that what we design, what we put into the computer as designers will translate to the surveyors, to the contractors and the like. And that's really where, this intro is just the intro. The discussion out there in industry is big, and there's a lot of different opinions, a lot of different expertises, and then trying to corral that in here to make sure that our program and our deliverables or initiatives is successful.
Carl.
So our biggest challenge when we provide our models to some of the contractors is we need to make sure we standardize our vertical control, because a lot of the surveys and a lot of the different companies, even in here, because we all work together, they don't necessarily utilize the same type of vertical control. So even though you use like a NAT 83, it's something that's still a problem. And almost 90% of the time when we provide any type of model to a contractor, that's where we have our biggest struggles. Because if there's just a little tiny bit of a bust in it, it creates havoc. So when you guys are doing this digital delivery stuff, I mean, that's going to be, I think, our the biggest challenge is vertical control. So I don't know if ADOT is moving towards standardizing that a little bit more, because you have your GDAX, your NGS, your all these different vertical control points. But that is what's the risk to me. That's the biggest risk out of everything associated with digital delivery. So.
And thanks for that comment. I can see some individuals back there writing that down for sure. Like I said, this is a heavy lift. Yeah. And we, right, are going to be successful if we work together. So I just wanted to, there's a reason why this picture is here. So thank you for your comment. We appreciate that.
Any other questions for Audra? All right. Well, thank you, Audra. Appreciate
you.
that.
Right.
I'll turn the mic over to Amerigo now for any ACEC announcements.
The only one that I have is that we are gearing up for roads and streets. We understand it's a few months away, but we are getting calls for those that are looking to reserve their booths that they may have had last year or sponsorships. So if you were, excuse me, if you were a previous exhibitor, look for an email that is going to pre-invite you to secure your booth if you liked the one you had last year or your sponsorship. And then ACEC members will get a pre-invite also prior to it releasing out to the general public. So keep your eyes peeled in your email for that. I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Amerigo. Thanks again, everybody, for attending. Scheduled meeting is Wednesday, March 1st. So hope to see you all there.
Forgot to mention Engineers Week.
Engineers Week.
Engineers Week.
I do. Let me grab it.